Hi and welcome back to the world of ear training. Today we're going to explore the fundamentals to practice your ears efficiently. And let's begin with the basics, namely intervals. So what exactly is an interval? An interval is basically the distance between any two given notes, and it's measured in steps on a musical scale. Knowing how to identify and recognize these intervals by ear is basically essential for any musician. There are 12 basic intervals that you should learn to recognize by ear, and these are basically the building blocks for any type of music and melodies. And if you learn these intervals, you also learn to recognize more complex chords and more complex intervals down the line. So let's dive in and explore the 12 basic intervals. Right, so our first interval is called unison or perfect unison. And that's when you have two voices basically playing the same note. So if we play a C4, it's unison. The next interval is called minor second or half step, and that's one step away from your root note. So if we play a C4, our minor second is gonna be the C sharp. Do you recognize that interval? Yeah, so that's a jaws. And it's very good to get some kind of connection with some kind of song or some kind of theme with these different intervals. And that way it will be easier to recognize the interval because you can connect it with that theme. So we have jaws for the minor second. The next interval is called the major second, and that's two steps away from our root note. So if we have the C4, that's gonna be a D. You know the song? So that's basically Happy Birthday. So that's one song that I connect with the major second. The next interval is the minor third, and that's 3 steps away from your root note. So if we have the C, 1, 2, and you know the tune? Please write in the comments if you know the tune. The next interval is the major third, and that's 4 steps away from a root note. And this interval is very common in many melodies, but I basically connect it with. And you can find your own song to connect with the major third. The next one is called the perfect fourth, and that's 5 steps away from a root note. And I connect that with Hej tomtegubbar in Swedish. The next one is called the tritone, and that's a very common interval if you're doing horror scores or suspenseful cues. And that's 6 steps away from our root note. Next interval is perfect fifth. So that's the tune that I connect with the perfect fifth. The next one is called the minor sixth. So that's the tune I connect with that one. And then the next interval is called major sixth. Another tune you can connect with that interval. And of course you can write in the comments if you know these tunes that I play. The next one is called minor seventh. And the next one is called major 7th. And I connect this with the Superman theme somehow. And of course, another popular one for major 7th is this one. Take on me, take on me. And the final interval of today is called octave. And that's when you play the same note 1 octave above, 12 semitones above. So if we have the C4, it's going to be the C5. So that's basically all the intervals you need to know to pick out the most melodies and most chords. Okay, so now we know all the basic intervals. Now let's take a look at that 5-minute daily hack that you can use to improve your hearing and get better at interval detection. So let's open a browser and head over to my website, Morning Dew Media Education, at edu.morningdewmedia.com. See you there.